Hi, I'm going to talk a little bit about the use of a hot folder when it comes to outputting files and sending an output file to a hot folder. So we currently have sort of three options when it comes to that, and so I'll talk about those. If I go to output here, right now you see that I don't have a button that allows me to go to a hot folder, and so one of the settings is to set it to turn the hot folder option off. So from the perspective of confusing some of our users and sort of being an attractive nuisance or whatever, it's possible to just turn that off. And the way that you do that is in the preferences file, and I have it right now is a little bit of a harder way to do it, which is to edit the actual preferences file, because it's not something that I think you're going to want to change really very often, if ever, really, once you have it set the way that's appropriate for a particular user. So the hot folder option by default will be set to 0, which means it'll turn it off. Then we have the option to set it to 1, so I'm going to edit that and then get back into en route. So I exited out of en route. You need to obviously do that to have it take the changes that you make to the preferences. Okay, so if I get back into en route after changing that to 1, now if I get into my setup preferences and I go to initialization, you'll see now I've turned on some hot folder options. So a hot folder that I can specify here, and then what we call a hot folder file name prefix. So it'll give a prefix for file names that can then be numbered. So if I want to have a number of files that go into the hot folder, then that's an option. So now if I get in here, I'll open my file again, so I've got something to output. And now if I go to output, you can see I have two hot folder, which will automatically output the file. So then if I get into that folder, let's look in that folder, you'll see that I have the prefix, the JPH, and then it has the _1, so it's got the first of those. So now if I do it again, so I output that file again, and you see now I've got JPH2, and it does have the extension for the driver that I'm using. So JPH1.cnc, JPH2.cnc. So that's option 1, where it will continue to add files based on the numbering of the prefix that you specify as the file name. And so that's the option that you have with option 1. And so I'm going to delete these files just so they're not confusing, and then I'm going to get out of en route, and I'm going to go into edit that file again, edit my preferences file again. Now I'm going to change it to option 2, and I'll save that. Get back into en route. Okay. And now if I'm bring that file open again, so I've got something to output. So now if I go to my preferences and go to initialization, there's a subtle change here. So instead of prefix, it's the hot folder file name. So I have a different name specified. It gets saved in a different place in preferences. And so the hot folder file name is what the user sees. So here I have JPH_hot out. Of course, you can call it whatever is appropriate for what you want to do. So I click OK on that. I go to output here, and it's to hot folder again. And what we'll see different if we go to the thing here is I've got JPH hot out. There's no numbering, there's just the one file, and there isn't an extension. So we have machines that we work with that don't want to have that extension on there, and so that's not specified. If I leave that file in there and then go to output again and go back in here and look at it, you'll see that it was overwritten. So that file was just overwritten. So it's really just going to maintain one file in the folder based on that name that I have specified. And so that's kind of the second option. Excuse me, the second hot folder option that is available. So rather than the prefix and the numbered files, you just have the one file that you can overwrite as many times as necessary, and that's the way that it works. So anyway, that's the kind of the new hot folder options in En route, and you can turn it off. You can turn it on so that you define a prefix and that can create multiple files in the hot folder that's specified, and then you can turn it on so that you just have the one file that will get overwritten each time it gets output from En route. So thanks. I hope that's helpful.